This is DIY Cyber Guy with David W. Schrofer. Every week, he will show you how cybersecurity can be as easy as locking up your house at night. Now, here is your host, David W. Schrofer.
Welcome back, everybody, to DIY Cyber Guy. This is episode 84. Is your data secure when you use AI? Now, this is a hair on fire 1 out of 5. Something that you should really understand, especially if you use AI. And this episode is for everybody that either uses AI today or plans on using it in the near future, which I hope, sincerely hope, is every last man, woman, and child that's listening to this podcast right now, because it is an important tool. And if you're not using it, then you don't understand it, and you don't understand the impact that it can have, both positive and negative. So I'd like to start here. On October 29th, 1969, a UCLA student named Charlie Klein attempted to send the word login from UCLA's computer to a machine in the Stanford Research Institute. That was using a system called the ARPANET, which we now know today as the Internet. And it took about an hour and a couple of failed attempts, but after that point, they actually got the word login to transmit through the ARPANET from UCLA to Stanford. That was the first successful message of any kind to be sent through what we now know as the Internet. Talking or hearing Charlie Klein and others who were involved in that project speak about it later, they were kind of surprised that it worked. And when they added multiple nodes all across the country, with the idea being that if any one link from any 2 points in the matrix were to go down, then the network itself would still work because it had lots of other ways to get that data there. So the ARPANET expanded and expanded and expanded again, all the while more and more messages, things like websites came into existence, things like email came into existence, all using this network, that these guys were really surprised that it even worked in the first place. The last thing they were thinking about was security. They just wanted it to work. And of course, as time went on, usage improved, use cases changed, websites became more and more complicated and used for more and more things. The issue of security crept up and kind of bit them. Right? Because now they had to backtrack and figure out how to make the system that was really just designed to function, just to send messages from here to there. Now it had to be a secure network. How do you layer that onto a network that was not designed for security? Fast forward to today. ChatGPT exploded into our consciousness and into our daily lives just a couple of years ago. It was not that long ago. And we all started using it in different ways. And those of you who haven't, please listen to my last couple episodes about how to use it and how to use it carefully. And feel free to write me at david@DIYcyberguy.com. And I'll tell you exactly what episodes talk about using it carefully, using it judiciously, but getting to know it, because getting to know it's important. But we're also sprinting ahead. Just like the Internet sprinted ahead from this weird connection that could transmit the word login in October of 1969, and then it had to become the secure thing. Well, AI is kind of at that same place and time right now. We started using it, we were amazed by what it could do, and we're very, very quickly piling up new use cases on it, just like we did with the Internet. But the question has to come up in your mind and mine and everybody that's building and working on these things. What about privacy? What is happening to this data that's going back and forth at literally light speeds? What happens as you ask questions and you make challenges of your AI app to produce a picture, to write an email, to write a poem, to correct your spelling, whatever the case may be, or to do research, whatever that case may be? You're using it, you're giving it information, but where's that information going? Because it says a lot about you, the questions that you ask, as much as it does the answers that you get. So there was a very interesting article in USA Today back in June, on June 30th. And I'll read you a quote from this article. The quote is, Everyone wants to be the first to market with their AI powered product, but they're not thinking about the implications. The second you input sensitive data into a public model, it's out there. We've got to stop treating cybersecurity like an afterthought. And the person who said that was Cordell Robinson, who joins me today as my guest. So Cordell has a bachelor's of science in computer science and electrical engineering from Pepperdine University. He has a Juris Doctorate from Georgetown Law School, and he's a decorated Navy veteran. Cordell, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
It's really great to have you on the show. I'm looking forward to this discussion. So let's start here. Does anybody really know what happens to their data once it's input into AI?
So, David, I don't think anybody really knows exactly. Like, not some people know, like some of the technical people know that are in the industry that's in IT, information technology. They may know, but your average everyday person, they don't really know what happens to your data when you input it into AI, artificial intelligence.
Well, what does that tell us about what that's doing to our privacy? If I'm asking it to edit emails, or if when you ask it to edit an email, you're delivering the email that you wrote, that you drafted into AI. So that's just one type of use case. When you ask it to make a picture of, a butterfly named Sam or whatever you might ask it to do, you're putting that information into AI. So if we don't know what's happening to it, does that mean that anything could be happening to it?
No, so it doesn't mean anything could be happening to it, but it just means that just be cautious, because if you are going to put in sensitive data, especially if you're sending an email or something like that, you're drafting an email and it's supposed to be private, put in only the information that you need to articulate to get your message across if you want to use AI for it. And then any of the details that are sensitive, add those details to the actual email that you're going to send later, and don't put it in AI, because if you put all that data in AI, now that and plus what AI is going to give you to complete the whole email is out there on the internet. And so if it gets leaked, now that sensitive email could be leaked.
Well, there's a difference between out there on the internet and information that could be leaked. Like when I use bill pay in my banking app online, it's out there technically on the internet, but I'm comfortable that it's secure, and that's why I use a system like that. So when you're chatting with ChatGPT or Perplexity or Gemini, you're not putting that information out there for anybody to see. Something would need to be breached for that information, that email that I put into ChatGPT or whatever else, to make that public knowledge, correct?
Yeah, correct. It would have to be breached for someone to get that, but there's hackers out there all the time penetrating into all these AI models and pulling data every day.
Yes, sir. Every day, thousands of times a day.
Yes.
Okay, so what's the cautionary tale here? What's the what's the worst case scenario here when let's say you put sensitive data just because you're trying to get an email edited by ChatGPT, but that email contains sensitive information. What's the worst case scenario of what could happen with that data?
Well, worst case scenario, if you put sensitive data, so for example, if you put in like a bank account information or something in an email, that's very sensitive data in that email.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
For my listeners, don't do that.
Yeah. Or if you put someone's birth dates or their social security number, like there's sensitive information that's personal, then that information can be taken and utilized for, someone to, steal your identity or use it for, different means. So It's always be cautious to put in only the data that you need to get the information that you need to do what you're trying to accomplish with AI, instead of all of the extra stuff, because it's not really necessary. It's AI's MML, machine learning. And so what you put in is what you're going to get out of it, right?
Exactly.
So be very detailed and exact of what you want, and be also very cautious of what you want as well, so that you one can get the right result. And at the end of the day, the what it gives you should not be uh the final thing that you would send off. Let's say it's an email, it's not going to be the final email that you send off. It should be the final draft. And then you take that final draft and then you insert that sensitive information in there.
Right.
Because if worst case scenario, you insert that sensitive information into AI, now it's out there. Okay, something could happen or something could not happen, right? A lot of times that things don't happen for years, because sometimes people sit on data and information for a very long time before they decide to like do something about it. So
Okay.
you never know. So it's just not good to even put it out there if you don't have to put it out there.
Excellent advice. I agree with that. One of the things you mentioned in the USA Today article was that you've seen people put sensitive information in social media posts, email posts,
Mhm.
that type of thing. Is that something um, that you have direct experience? I mean, do people come to you and or show you what they've done, or is this just social media posts and things that you've seen coming through your feed? Or can you talk more about that?
Sure, it's a little bit of both. So, like, I see some social media posts and I'm like, why did this person just post all of this personal like information? Like, even if and it doesn't have to be a post, like a typewritten post, it could be even a video of them talking and saying things. And some things that they say could be some sensitive information or personal information
Sure.
about themselves that could be the detriment of them. So I'm like, be very careful of, what you are putting out there on social media, because you're putting it out there for the world. And I know people block it off and have like, okay, well, I only like my friends can see it, or my followers can see it, or, these people can see it.
Right.
Yes, that is true, but it's still on the internet, which means it's still accessible to attackers.
And it's also accessible, like if you make that post on Instagram or Facebook, for example, it's accessible to Meta, to the
Right.
owner of those
To
companies,
the
and they can use
exactly
it to
of
profile
platforms.
you all they
Yep,
want. Because in
exactly.
fact, you've agreed to let them do that when you click that
Right.
little box when you opened your account and when they update their terms of service. It's always in there. We're going to take your data and try to profile you so we can sell that profile. That's what they do.
Exactly, because it's called a digital footprint. So all of us now, basically, as soon as you get online, get on internet, you have a social media profile, you have an email address, and so on and so forth. Your digital footprint begins to build, and then you build out this huge digital footprint. But you are ultimately in control of your digital footprint, because of what you control of what's going to either be put out there or not. So
Right.
you make sure you decide what should be posted and what should not be posted. I tell people, don't post with emotion. Never post out of emotion. Sit
Just
back
like
and think
never pick up
about
the phone
it.
and call somebody out of
Right. Call
emotion. Just
somebody and have a conversation. Don't run to the internet and post because
right,
you're having this emotional crisis, because that's not going to bode well for you.
right,
We've seen many people, come on the internet and say all kinds of really outlandish things, and then they lose their job and like all these things happens because,
right.
well, you should have had that conversation privately with someone to get it out, and not for the internet. It's not for the internet. That's not what the
Now,
internet's for.
what you're saying right now is probably something that every single listener has lived through at least once. They're upset about something. They just saw something on, in the town square that was either really offensive or something along those lines, and they're really angry. Their blood's really up, and then they post something about it.
Hmm.
If that person was sitting in front of you right now and say, "Hey, I'm not in the middle of that in this moment. Tell me how to process that. What do I do in a moment like that when I just took a picture, I picked up Instagram, I opened my Instagram app on my phone, and I want to post a inflammatory comment with this picture that I just took because I can't believe it." what would you say to that person not in the moment, to as a practice to make sure that they don't go too far?
I would say for everyone, before you post, always take a beat, take a moment, think and process what you're about to post.
Right.
Also, especially if you're making a video, watch it all the way through, process it before you post it. If you write a post, write it out, read it a couple times before you post it to make sure that it doesn't have any information that could be damaging to you. It's you don't, like, everyday things, haha, funny things is fine. But when it comes to like very serious things, people should be very cognizant of that because since sensitivities are heightened around the world with so many different things going on all the time. So, just because you have this voice on the internet doesn't mean that you have to say everything all the time, every day,
Right.
because now you're drawing too much attention for the wrong thing. And it's counterproductive, I would
Yeah.
say.
Okay. And it could also that's good advice that could avoid stepping on the proverbial, digital landmine, something that
Mhm.
actually affects your potentially your relationships, your job
Right. Yeah.
security, or things that, one would think would be very, very important to you. Therefore, they should take
Right.
that advice very, very seriously, I would think.
Right.
Um,
Because your digital footprint can affect your real life. So you have to be
exactly.
very cognizant of your digital footprint because it does translate into real life. It could affect your real life. And some people get so, I guess they get so just into social media. It almost seems like it's not a real place sometimes. And so they just go on and it's just so exciting and they get excited and you just, okay, I'm going to post or I'm going to do this video.
Yeah,
No, don't do that. It's not necessary.
exactly.
It's like, chill out, take a beat, and think about it. Is it really worth me posting this? What is the purpose of me posting this? Is it going to benefit me or is it going to harm me? Is it going to benefit or harm someone else? And so that's what people should, always think about before posting sensitive information, because your digital footprint, employers go and look. People that you meet, they go and look you up. You look up your socials and see, what you're posting and about your life and and
Yeah.
they get an idea of your personality from your digital footprint. And sometimes, a lot of times what people post on the internet and who they are in real life could be very different people because people are caricatures of themselves. And so it's like,
Yeah.
if you're going to be that caricature, be a positive caricature so that nothing's mistranslated in real life.
So for all of you that are listening, that is such good advice. You just tell if you have friends and family that post haphazardly or irresponsibly, tell them to listen to Cordell on episode 84 of DIY Cyber Guy, and that'll bring them back to center and maybe give them some advice so they don't, nuke their life or their career with a single post. Cordell, let's talk about you for a second. You served in the U.S. Navy, is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you for your service, Cordell, really.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you also have a JD, which means you have a law degree and you're a
Yes.
computer programmer as well with a Bachelor of Science in computer programming.
Yes.
I've had, you're the 84th guest I've had on this episode, give or take. And that is, I'm certain, a unique background for any guest. How do you see the law, your study of the law and your understanding of computer programming fit together?
So it's very interesting. At first, I did not even know like exactly how it fit together, but it was organic. It made sense. So when I was a software engineer, I was in law school at the same time as a software engineer. And so taking the different classes, torts and contract law and all those different things. And I start reading through then I start looking and then of course I know technology in my day job. And I'm like, wait a minute. And then I start looking at policy. and then compliance and privacy. And I'm like, oh, this is all legal. This is all, so this
Yeah.
marries. And so I was like, I don't want to go into the field of being an attorney and, doing all that. I want to do something a little bit more behind the scenes in the background and something that's unique. And so I think, the legal side of cyber and then like compliance and regulations and policy was, very exciting to me.
It sounds like an interesting combination, and I'm glad that you're excited about that, because regulation of some of these things is one way to fix it. I mean, the conversation about regulating the internet has been an incredibly hot topic ever since people kind of woke up after 1969 and said, "Wow, there's so much going on here. Good, productive, also bad and malicious. How do we
Mhm.
regulate that?" And that's been a question that's been wrestled with a lot. And I'm fascinated with about the idea of, okay, take the word fascinated broadly, because the idea of regulating AI is interesting. Can it even be done? What elements of AI would be regulated? What would be the body to regulate it? What would enforcement even look like? And how do you collaborate in a world of where there are honest actors, good actors, and there are bad actors. There are threat actors out there and using the
Right.
same tools at the same time. So, how would you think about regulating AI? Is it even possible?
Possible. I mean, you have to put in a governance first, and compliance and governance first. And there are frameworks that are out there. They're pretty. They've gotten really good. Recently, I've read a lot of the latest frameworks that have come out for AI governance. NIST actually has an AI framework, and then there's some different AI governance frameworks that are out there by IAPP and different other organizations that I've read through and to understand. So I think looking at those guidelines and then turn those into regulations for yourself, and for your organization, for your company, if it's on that side, but for people, for you personally, kind of take it as, okay, what do I need to do to regulate my data and my security when in this new AI world? Because
Right.
AI is not just chat GPT and some videos. AI is like actual people creating videos of someone, and it's not even that real person, and it's
Right.
like, and they're like them talking and everything. So, and it's you know deep fakes and deep, like all these different things with AI. And so once you put around that compliance and regulatory umbrella over it, then it keeps it a little bit under control. And then people need to like kind of think back and slow down, and everybody's like chasing it because it's a lot of money
Yeah.
and they want the money, but it's like, let's, you know, slow down just a little bit, and let's make sure we get some, regulation around it and secure it well before it goes too haywire. Because AI, I mean, it's just so much information, it's so fast, and people are just using it and just pushing all this data. And you imagine there's, almost 8 billion people on this planet. So you imagine like, all those with access to AI and the internet is just like constant every day, all this terabytes and terabytes of data constant. So it's like, okay, well, we need to, we need to find some type of structure to it. It just can't be like the Wild Wild West, because then it
Right.
becomes chaotic and then it becomes very dangerous.
Well, that's where we're heading, right? That's where we started in 1969 with the internet. It became a useful tool. Then it went haywire. Then
Mm-hmm.
guardrails and security layers were built up around it, and
Mm-hmm.
regulations like the GDPR in the EU,
Mm-hmm.
CCPA in California attempted to say, okay, with all this electronic data, people need the right to pull it back. People need the right to see what
Exactly.
you've got. See, people need the right to have an understanding of what's out there, and that's definitely curbing the tide. And
Mm-hmm.
so it sounds like, in your opinion, AI. It sounds like, in your opinion, Cordell, responsible organizations can do things today, looking at NIST, those are good standards to follow in the AI category. Do you think we're going to get to the point that AI privacy becomes a part of regulations like GDPR, CCPA, and other data privacy regulations that are really coming up state by state around the U.S.?
Definitely. We definitely will. Yeah, we're headed there very fast. And especially like because some people use AI as their therapist. And I'm like, so you're telling AI a lot of your deepest, darkest secrets. So now it's on the internet. And if someone gets that, it could be very damaging, because
Exactly.
no one's perfect, right? So everybody has things, but like you telling AI all of this stuff, I don't think that that's very wise.
Exactly. Cordell, it's been great having you on the show today. Where can people find out more about what you do?
Sure. So they can find me on my website, www.bcf-us.com. That's Bravo Charlie Foxtrot-us.com, which is my company, Brownstone Consulting Firm. We're a global compliance firm. We will help you with AI governance. We will help you with anything in your compliance house. There's a new one out, regulation, well, not new, but regulation out, directed by the president for CMMC. Look it up, Google it. And there's so many other compliance regulations that are required, especially now as we're moving into the new fiscal year. So we are your company to go to get your compliance needs so you can go out and win those government contracts. And also find me on LinkedIn, Cordell Robinson, and then Instagram, Brownstone_consulting_firm.
I got to believe with your background in the Navy, plus your legal background, plus your computer science background, you would be uniquely positioned to help companies get government contracts and stay in compliance while they're operating those contracts.
Definitely.
Excellent. Well, it's been great to have you on the show. I'll certainly have you on again. And thanks for being here.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. This is great.
Likewise. That's all the time we have today. Remember, for the show notes from this episode, or to listen to any of our past episodes, or to get a free chapter from my book, Digital Habits, just go to DIYCyberGuy.com. And if you want to buy my book, just go to Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com and search the keywords Digital Habits 5 Simple Tips. If you have questions or an idea for the show, just email me at questions@DIYCyberGuy.com. And if this show helps you stay safe online, please click the share button and send it to everyone you think we can help. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to DIY Cyber Guy. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this broadcast are for general information only, and we have not knowingly divulged any information that would conflict with any of our non-disclosure or confidentiality agreements. Enjoy the internet safely.